Okay, so recap of South Africa and Turkey, because it was all one trip. I figured I'd just talk about both. Um, Now I just got back from the gym, shooting some photos for my new sponsor, Silverback. Um, my athlete page should be up shortly, and then through there you can buy their clothes at a discount. I'll put that on my Instagram as soon as it's available. Just getting started with this. But anyway, so South Africa, that was so cool. Like, that's like the coolest place I've ever been. I feel like I had such a good time there, and it's hard to even describe. Like, the scenery, everything is unbelievable everywhere you look, and the people are super cool. Everybody's really friendly there everywhere I went. The contest was pretty wild. Like, I want to be clear, like, I'm not complaining, I'm just describing what happened, because I like the adventure of competing. I like when things are crazy. Makes it more exciting, you know. We're all in the same boat together, and we have to adapt, right? So right off the bat, the day before the show, we found out it was a silver dollar deadlift. We're all prepping for a regular deadlift, things like that, you know. But I thought I don't care about that. Like, I know that really throws some people for a loop. For me, I think it's just whatever. That's strongman. If I wanted to do something standardized, I would powerlift, and I deliberately don't for that exact reason. So another thing happened where there was an issue with the schedule with the venue. So we ended up having to get there early, much earlier. That was the plan, at least. So typically SCL, it seems like everything's usually 2 p.m, which is nice for me because of the time change. I'm typically like anywhere from 6 to 8 hours ahead when I'm over there competing. So I can kind of keep my normal schedule. Like, I'll go to bed at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, and then I'll get up around 9:30, 10, and catch the hotel breakfast at the last second, and then have some time before usually we all get on the bus and head to the venue at noon, and get to the venue for everything that goes on. The show starts at 2, right? So having to do things a lot earlier was super difficult for me. We had to get on the bus by 8 the next morning, and so that means I'm going to get up at like 6. For me, that's the equivalent of like midnight. That's when I go to bed at home, right? So, and I wasn't adapted, so I basically had to get up at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, what it felt like on my body. But it is what it is. Like, I love competing over there. I love competing in Europe and other continents, and that's just stuff that's going to happen. You're not going to sleep, you know. It was just something notable about my journey. So we get on the bus, we start heading to the venue, and then it turns out there was an oil spill on the road, and that happened to be the only road that goes there. So it was supposed to take an hour to get from the hotel to the venue, and it ended up taking 3 hours that we were on the bus. That ended up being a good thing for me, because I actually got some sleep in, so I'm not complaining about that at all. We weren't properly hydrated and fed by the time we got there, but we were all in the same boat. So we all just started hydrating and eating. They had food for us, they had drinks for us. So we got situated. It took them a second to get the area built anyways. So we had time. So all the delays worked themselves out. Just, you know, you can't be like a neurotic competitor in this league. That's for sure, especially competing in Africa. So start out silver dollar deadlift. It was interesting too, because it was kind of a stiff bar. Like, you'd never know because of the way the silver dollar loads the bar. It's still bent a lot anyway, but it was like a stiff bar, and it wasn't a deadlift bar. And it stopped bending right about where the bar stopped bending at the Arnold earlier this year. And I ended up getting, it was like over 100 pounds, or like over 50 kilo personal record for me versus the Arnold. So that was great. I didn't know what to expect there, because I hadn't been training that at all. So that's a crazy improvement for me, especially all things considered that I just mentioned. You know, I'm coming in no sleep, yada yada yada. So this hit that was crazy. I think I hit 440 kilos. I think it comes out to like 960 or something. It's pretty heavy, 970. So at the Arnold, I only hit 850. I missed 900 from that same height. So it's like just a few months, like pretty big improvement. After that, we had farmers. It ended up being 20 kilos heavier per hand than we were expecting, and it was in the grass. So that was a fun variable. It turned out it was like same thing. It's whatever. You just go and do it. We can all do it. We all did it. It's like, that might drive someone else crazy. For us, we just gotta adapt, get out there. Of course, each lane's gonna be slightly different depending on your luck of the bumps in the grass, and I had a tough call, and at the end of the day, like it's just up to me. Like going forward, I'm gonna ask these questions. They may have said it at some point. It was such a whirlwind of a day, I didn't catch it. But on one end, when you're coming down, I think it was 20 meters each way. So on one end, only the front had to pass, and then you could turn around. But then at the finish line, you had to fully cross it. So I lost a lot of seconds there because I dropped them early. I had to go back and pick them up. So I thought it was just the front of them had to cross on both sides, but it was the front on one side and then the whole thing to finish. I've never been in a show like that before. Usually it's one or the other, both sides, but it just is what it is. I should have known going into it. I never do this. I hate doing this, but we check the points at the end of the show, and it didn't really impact the overall outcome anyway. So even though it hurt me in my placement on that event, points wise overall for the whole weekend, it didn't affect anything. So whatever. And then what was next? Oh, the truck pull. Huge improvement for me on the truck pull. I like just didn't do well in Cyprus. I didn't do well in Finland because we just don't truck pull in the US that much. And I've been doing it. I had 1 week, so I got one truck pull session in, but I watched a lot of videos of other people doing it, and that alone made me better at it. So I just had a lot more information going in mentally as to how to go about that event, and it paid off. Like I did much better. It felt good. Everything felt good. I think there's still some adjustments I could have made going forward, and I'm going to keep training it. And now I have 2 different places that I can pull trucks this off season to keep practicing. I assume there'll be a truck pull at Iceman. I think that's going to be my next show in February. So I want to be ready for that, especially if I'm truck pulling in the snow. All right, so day two. Day two, normal schedule. We arrived there we got on the bus at noon, arrived to start competing at 2, but kind of a similar issue. Just the spot wasn't where they thought it was going to be. It was a little bit down the road and in a different area, and they had to build it out, whatever. It's Africa, man. And like, it's the way it goes. And the location ended up looking super cool. Like, it was hard to draw a crowd for that particular area that we were in, but the background for the log press was unbelievable. It was so, like, those photos from that is like the coolest photos I have of me lifting ever. It was this crazy little 10-inch log, and I don't train on that. So I think a lot of times, like I was talking to Evans Nana about it, and he said that whenever he's going to like an unusual country, he'll train on like weird logs. Like he'll train on a 10-inch log. He'll train on all kinds of logs just to be prepared for whatever kind of like potentially homemade log. Like you're probably not going to have a rogue log in Africa. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm happy with the outcome there. I knew going into it probably 4 to 6 reps, and I ended up doing 5. So it was right where I wanted, right where I guessed I would be, right in the middle of it. I now in hindsight, I was rushing because in the back of my head, I felt like maybe just like if I was really on, I had 7, and 7 would have been a tie for first, I believe. And my press was feeling strong in warm-ups, and I just hustled through it. It was a choice that I made to try to get the event win, and I went too fast. And same thing, we were log pressing in the grass, which I've never done. So like you did not have your footing. Like you would clean the log and then sit there and try and balance, and it was just not possible, especially while I was rushing. I think if I just slowed down and breathed through those reps, I think I could have got 6, but it just is what it is. Like, you make these decisions a lot of times, it's just win or lose decisions, right? Like, if you make that call and you do get 7, it's a glorious victory. And if you make that call and it doesn't work out, you pay the price and points wise, and that's what we do. You get one try. And that was my choice. I rushed through it. I got 5 really good reps, and then that 6th one just wasn't there. I couldn't get my balance. I started to gas out. I was kind of pumped out from going so fast, and that was it. So still really happy because, like I said, I was assuming 4 to 6 reps. I got 5, so right down the middle, right where I thought I would be. Turns out I was capable of more than I expected, but whatever. Final event was the sandbag loading race. It was supposed to be a bag toss, but there was some kind of technical difficulty. So that morning, I believe, on the way to the venue, we found out it was going to be bag race. I was a little sad about it just because I had really prepared for bag toss. Like, I was doing it almost every workout from different distances. Like, I was just really training that a lot because it's kind of an event that's been good for me in the past. And I thought maybe I could get some points there, especially the final event on day 2. That might change my overall placement, And yeah, the bag, I'm good at sandbags, but so is everyone else. So it ends up being just like crazy close. So we were all just like under a second apart from each other, I believe, when you go back to the scores. Like, we were all super close, and it started raining. It wasn't raining. It was raining for my run with George. It just, like, George is really good at that, and it's just unfortunate because his knees weren't feeling good. So, like, he wasn't able to do what I know he could have done. It's just things we all deal with, right? But the guys later in the heats, they got a lot of rain. Luckily, it was only, I think, like 2 or 3 more heats after us, and they got really rained on hard, but they still had great times somehow. That's how freaky everyone is. So these guys in the pouring rain in the grass, slipping all over the place. These guys are just like hitting times that we were hitting when it was dry. So just shows you the quality of athletes in these contests. And that was it. I ended up in 4th. So it was 2 4ths in a row. Pretty happy with that. Top 5 all year. So 5th in Finland, 4th in Cyprus, and 4th in South Africa. And really happy with that as my first season in the league. There's always going to be guys like Reno that are just like unbelievable. Like, that's just, I'm me, I'm happy with what I did. He's a freak of nature. Like, I picture Reno like the next Mitchell Hooper. I'm calling it now. He's like unbelievable. That's what it is. He was a really good rugby player, I guess. You know how to be. Once you know how to be good at one thing, you know how to be good at everything. It's like being good at things is a personality type more than anything, right? And so at least I think so. And he's amazing. So that's it. That's who won. He deserved it. On the home court too, it's just nice. He's used to that crazy African disorganization, so he's totally prepared for all the madness. And like I said, it's not a complaint. It's just like I do this stuff for the adventure. It makes it a better story to remember. All the crazy things that go on. It's another memory. That show will stick out to me more than other ones for those reasons. And sorry, I'm still a little sick. I've been really sick this week. When I got back, I think I was really run down. I haven't really. Today was my first workout. I've been in bed all week. I barely moved. So Turkey, same thing. Unreal. Like, I can't believe the locations that I've been in lately. It's crazy that it's even real life when you're there. Same thing with South Africa. You look around and it's like unreal. But oh man, it was a mission to get there. I think they were a little cheaper. That's why I chose to do this, but it was like 12 and a half hours. You fly by Turkey to Germany. So we flew up to Frankfurt, then we had a 5-hour layover, and then 4 hours to Turkey. And then when we arrived, and oh my God, like that flight from South Africa to Germany was just screaming babies all night, and we were on like the daycare flight. I don't know why there was so many babies in our cabin. I don't really sleep on the planes anyways, so it's whatever, but I get like a half hour if I'm lucky. I don't ever expect to sleep. I'm happy if I get anything. But man, just screaming baby flight. And then, we're sitting in the Frankfurt airport. We were able to sleep on some benches for a little while, so that was nice. And then just felt nice to be horizontal, not trying to sleep sitting up. But yeah, and then the flight from Germany to Turkey was the smallest space I've ever been squeezed into on a plane ever. I've never been in such a small area. I had a window seat, but these seats were ridiculous. Like, I couldn't believe it. It was horrible, but that's what we do. It is what it is. Like I like traveling the world. You get beat up along the way. It's like it's part of it. If you want to be comfortable, don't do it. It's not. I don't expect comfort. I'm not flying business class to this stuff. It would be nice maybe someday. Get more sponsors or something. But when we landed in Turkey, it was another 3-4 hour shuttle bus to the hotel. It wasn't in the same city. And it's the same thing. It's whatever. We got a little beat up. We all did it. Some guys had better flights. They went to Istanbul and then down, so they had been in Turkey for hours before I got there. But we all went through it. A lot of us were in Africa first, like Kane, Evans, Nana, Reno. We all did that. Adam Ruskowski, I think him too. Yeah, we were all in Africa first, so we all did it. And the Turkey hotel was amazing, all inclusive, whatever. Everywhere we stay, it's unbelievable. I don't have to go into detail. I have video of it in the vlog. So the events in Turkey were rough for me. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like, I didn't know them. None of us knew them ahead of time. We all found out that week. I think some guys knew there would probably be block press because there's usually a block press in Turkey, but other than that, man, I thought I was going to do better than I did on that block press, but the sand just wrecked me. I don't know. My guess is that, one, I have a lot of these guys have lifted in sand before to some degree. I have no experience in the sand, but I also just think that I need to slow down when I'm in the sand. Like I've realized I'm more like explosive. Like I'm like poppy. I move a lot. Move my feet around. I jump. I shift. I like move things around while I'm holding them. I regrip. I'm like a very just jumpy, erratic, like all fast twitch muscle fibers. So me and sand was not a good mix for that block press because I would pop it up onto my chest and then, like in typical fashion, like move around and regrip, and normally on flat ground it's fine. It doesn't impact anything. That's just how I do it. And in the sand, I just couldn't get my footing. Like every time I moved my feet was like a new problem that I was in. And I ended up, my first block out, I had 1 foot off the mat in the sand because we had a mat on top of the sand, but it was just one mat on top of sand. It was still like you're squishing all over the place. And one of my feet was in the actual sand for the first block. I'm like, all right, we're off to a good start here. Then the next one, that one was pretty clean, luckily. And then I got to the third one and I dropped it forward into the sand. That was supposed to be a death sentence, but luckily I was able to dig it out. I had a little bit of time left. I had time to get the last press and I pressed it easily. So I hit that third block, but I dropped it behind me. So I'm standing there holding it, sinking into the sand. I take a step back, and it's easy to say throw it forward when it's not you and you have 200 and whatever pounds above your head in the form of a block that would kill you. So it started going in behind me. It had to go behind me, is what it is. I lost it behind me rather than die, and the rep didn't count. And just is what it is. It was just a horrible placing for me in that event. It was a total disaster. Right off, this is a great way to start the show. It's just like falling down in the sand, having problems. But it turns out that the trick there is something that no one has ever seen before, because those blocks were thin. Typically, like a block, when you're doing block press, like the form that I learned with the block press is for a tall block. So you're doing all this regripping. It gets on your chest and then you regrip to the bottom, right? There's a lot of things going on in a typical block press that's thick because of all the regripping that needs to go on. These blocks were thin, and Reno just came up with the idea that you can one motion the block. because you can just hold it. And I saw guys doing it and like in the warm-ups, and it looked kind of crazy, and like I just had the way I was doing it, I was hitting reps in the warm-ups. So it was weird that it just totally fell apart when it was time, when it mattered. But it's just is what it is. In hindsight, I wish I took the risk of the one motion. I just stuck with what I knew. Block press, I've never competed in the block press before. I've trained it for OSG, but I didn't end up having to do it. I didn't get that far in the medley. And that was really all my block press training was for OSG last year. And then I think I had one block press session for fun this year. I haven't touched the block press. So I stuck with what I knew, and everyone that did the one motions had great times. Everyone that didn't one motion them had a problem. So I think when you're on sand and it's not that thick, just one motion, just Viper press that thing. Like, it's clearly the best way, because you don't have to move your feet. You just sit there, you let it rip. Even if you're a little shaky at the top, walk around with it a little bit, and then you drop it, So that's, if we go back to Turkey and it's that block press again, I'm doing that one motion. That's definitely the way to go. My way was not it. Like jumping around, popping it, re-gripping, all that stuff that works on flat ground did not work at all. Like, it's crazy. So, but that's the way it is. Like when you're doing this stuff, especially when you're like, for me, it's like, I'll allow myself to be frustrated for like 1 minute, 2 minutes. And then you gotta move on, So like, it is what it is. Cause I haven't even been around that long, and I'll see people get mad about an event and it'll ruin their whole show. So for me, it's just like, you can be frustrated. Like, you don't have to hold that in. Don't let the crowd see it, of course. Like, that's absolutely not. You still have fun with them, but like privately, then move on, So event 2, I knew this had potential. Like, I'm pretty good with sandbag for distance, just grinding things out. So it was a sandbag Husafel carry for distance in the sand. And I had to go early in the heat because I totally fumbled that event. And unfortunately, like, I could have gone further, but I didn't know how far you need to go because I had to go first. I think I was in the first or second heat, and I took it out. I took it far, really far, like set the bar high. My legs were pumping out, and I kind of just had to make this decision because when we were warming up, people were having a really hard time with it, and I had a great distance. So my legs were pumping out, and I was like, man, my lungs were totally fine. So it was weird to have a Husafel. Usually for me, Husafel for distance ends up with being a cardio issue, or my arms get tired. And for this one, I had my legs pump out. I've never had that happen because we were in the sand. So I could just feel my legs going. And I'm like, man, if I push this really hard, I might get an event win here, but I could blow up my whole weekend and it won't matter. So I took it to where I felt like I set a good distance and my legs were about to give out, but I wasn't going to like blow myself up, right? So, in hindsight, I could have gone a few more feet for sure. Like when you see the video, you'll know, like I had more there, but, it was still a good distance because I think I ended up 4th in that event, and the people that beat me, like, it was a big push. So I definitely, and that's the thing at this level, I think I mentioned that earlier, it's like guys can mentally get there no matter what. So like once you're early in the heats, it's really hard to get out because these guys, like, they'll do whatever it takes to pass you, because that's what they do. They win. So you're early in the heats, you set the bar, they will pass it. If they have to dive, pass out, tear something, they're going to do it, So people pushed it, and some guys went down, and people, I think one of them beat me with like a dive over my line, is what it is. They earned it. Like, that's the way strongman goes. You do bad in the event before, you're kind of in trouble. You got to really push it to not stay on the bottom. And so that 4th helped. But it ended up not mattering because the next event was a Stein tossing. You like throw a rock like this in the sand, which of course I've never done before. And the sand just had me all messed up, of course. And it's like it had in the earlier events. And I was just mid-pack there. Sorry, I'm just, like I said, still sick. what can you do? I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know what, I tried different techniques. I don't know. We're throwing a rock in the sand. I don't know what to do. Some guys, I guess, had the time, like Reno said he went in the gym and threw a sandbag in that fashion a few times once the events were announced before he came to Turkey. I didn't have that luxury. I'm in a hotel in South Africa, like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. He probably would have beat me on it anyway. He's unreal, but yeah, I mean, it's just, what do? You can't practice it. None of us have ever done it before. Some guys had better results than others. Sometimes it felt like luck of the sand too. Like I would take a step, like in warm-ups, I'd get one really good throw because I had a good footing. Like this, maybe the sand was pushed out. And then another time I would go to throw and I'd just sink. Like right when it was time to let the throw go, I would just sink and it wouldn't go anywhere. So like so many weird variables to that event, especially in the sand. Whatever, you know, that's like I said, we're doing strongman. If I wanted standardized events, I would powerlift. I'm just describing what happened. I didn't do well in that event. It's very average result, where I needed to be better. Something I didn't mention is in Champions League, what they do is you start with points from your placement in the season. So for me, I got in last minute and I started with only like 4 points, I think. In the higher guys, it's basically the equivalent of like, if you're in first, you're starting with an event win before we start, right? Which is like, that's just the way they do it. But for me, it's like to have a bad event, a good event, and then a moderate event. I really wasn't in a good place going into day 2 because I'm starting with a deficit in points. So it was basically going into day 2, it was the top guys' show to lose at that point. Luckily, day 2 was much more normal strongman, so I had some better events. And then the truck pull was crazy. So day 2, the truck pull, where the floor is very slippery. It was almost like this like granite, like marble. I don't know. I'm not a stone expert. It was something other than what we usually pull trucks on. And it kind of had a layer of dust on it. And we couldn't stick. Like we put on our truck pull shoes, like typically like climbing shoes, what we wear, just sliding out. And man, like nothing would work. Like all of us were just sliding. We'd try all different shoes. I ended up trying it barefoot in the warm-ups and that felt the best. So a lot of guys, I think they put like Coca-Cola on the bottom of their shoes and then put them in the sun so it gets sticky. I don't know. People figured it out. I took the truck pull barefoot. Like, cause to me, it's like I mentioned earlier, like I was already in a bad spot with the points and it worked better than what I had. And I knew the crowd would love it and it'd be good for the TV show. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it barefoot, you know, get people fired up, get some good photos, get some good content for their TV show. That was that. I think I was mid-pack on that event barefoot, which is pretty cool. You know, I was in like 6th or 7th place barefoot. God, I need to like blow my damn nose. Sorry. I don't want to get up. I just want to finish this video. So after that, we had a car deadlift. Car deadlift was, it was a front handle car deadlift, which I've never done, believe it or not. It was every car deadlift I've ever done. It was the side handles where you kind of just stand up with that. With a car deadlift, you really do pull back, and you want to set up like with your shins really close. I've come to realize, and people helped me while we were warming up. So it's a different pull for sure. It feels a lot better, a lot different than the side handles, not better. I kind of like it better because it's harder, so we don't have to do 27 reps. Sometimes you get those side handle truck pulls and it's like kind of ridiculous, you know, it's people doing like 28 reps. The front handles, you're really like, if they have the weight right, like 7 to 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10, that was like gonna be the top people, right? Which they did. Sorry. And you know, I felt good with that, like really good in warm-ups. It felt great. Everything felt great. Right around rep, I forget if I did 7. I think I did 7 reps. Whatever. My second to last rep, I could feel my form break down a little bit. And I don't like to hitch unless I absolutely have to. So I put it down and I took a knee and rested to get, I knew I could get one more rep. Like I'm like, if I take like 10, 15 seconds, I can get another rep. So I did whatever I needed to do to pass most of the field. So yeah, I got that last rep. I definitely had one more in me if I wanted to do something ugly. But like I said, where I was at with the points, at that point, I was basically like, by placing well in that event, I was kind of just taking points away from the top guys when I really just, the podium really wasn't there unless they all zeroed stuff, which was never going to happen. So like for me to take a huge risk to maybe change whether I'm in 7th or 6th place, it just didn't, it wasn't there, you know. And like there's lots of ways that I can put on the show for a crowd without injuring my back, you know. So I did the rep. It was good, no hitching or anything, and called it. And then the final event was the natural stones. Yeah. So this was interesting because I took the warm-ups just to kind of find my grips. I didn't ever think that I couldn't break the floor with them, even though I've never competed with natural stones and I have never really trained them either. So this was totally new, but I knew in the warm-ups, I'm like, just squeeze my lats, like get my grips, and I should be able to do this, you know. I kind of hurt tendons in both my arms in Africa. I thought it was the sandbags, but I actually think it was the truck pull. So my arms weren't feeling great. I couldn't tell like at the time what tendons it was. Maybe it was my bicep tendons. I don't know. But it was like, if it was my bicep tendons, it's concerning. But I knew that like because of the way they were shaped, like if I could get the right position and get really tight, I shouldn't hurt myself, you know. And I felt like I had all that in order. People started finishing the event, but it was like they were taking their time, you know. And unfortunately, going into the final event, like for Champions League in the finals, they reward the people that are doing well. It just is what it is. So it's like you really got to dig yourself out. So you start off with points already before the show starts, and then the final event, and this is super common in other feds too, but rather than using the placement on the car deadlift, they used your overall placement to do the order of the final event, if that makes sense. So because I think I was in 8th or 7th at that time, I had to go pretty early. And I was the first one to like really demolish it. You know, like I just walked up to it and I'm like, whatever, like it's the finals. I've never done this before. I'm going to see what happens if I just attack it, you know? And because I didn't feel like I was like in danger, you know, at first I did, but once I did the first one, I'm like, okay, I didn't feel my arms at all. So this is fine. And I'm like, let's see what happens. I'm just going to knock this out. And I just ran through it quick. And like, I was so psyched on it for so many reasons. Like, I've never done natural stones. I didn't hurt myself. It was the fastest time so far. And it felt like it was a really good time. And it's just the way it goes. Like, I was early in the heats. These are some of the top guys in the world. And everybody edged me out by, you know, less than a second. To Reno destroyed it. So he was like 17 seconds, but everyone else was like 1 to 3 seconds, you know, just like chipping me just a little bit. But I feel like I kind of unlocked that you could just run through it. I'm sure they plan to do that regardless, but it was like I set that bar and it's like, all right, 1, it's possible to just like mangle this stone series. And 2, I got to do it faster than that. I could tell that's what they were thinking, you know, and just, I knew they would, you know, everybody's good. That's the price you pay for being early in the heats, is just like, no matter how good you do, they're gonna find a way to beat you. And that's why, like, when I say we, it's just like whatever like the pros are that are competing internationally right now, because I have the same mindset. I was just in a bad spot, but I would have had the same mindset. It's like, someone sets that bar, you know what it takes to be on the podium, or like, you know what it takes to be top 5, or whatever your goal is, or wherever you're at in the standings, however you're going to move up, you're like, you find a way, you know, you just find a way. And that's what they did. They just got that. Maybe they transitioned to the next stone a little faster. Maybe they took a little less time on their lap, a little less time to set the grips. Doesn't take much, you know, half a second gives you the same amount of points as like 5 seconds ahead if it's 1 place apart. So it's like they did what they had to do, and that was it. I was still like super happy with my time. I know it was a really good time. And just like, it's funny because that's the thing I'm the most psyched on out of the whole show. And I think I ended up placing like 6th in that event. And that just, like I said, that's just how it goes. Like everybody's that good that they can see you do something and just like force themselves to beat it, you know, mentally and physically, they're that good. So that was it. I think I ended up in 7th in Turkey. So, I mean, it's a pretty good season, you know. It's my first year in Champions League. I got top 5 all year and then made it to the World Finals at the last second. Got into the World Finals my first year. And also, it was back-to-back shows. I've never even done that before. So like I've never done shows a week in 2 weekends in a row. And I did it with 60 hours in a plane. And the second show was World Finals. You know what I mean? It's not like I was doing some regular shows back to back. It was like, all right, go all the way to the bottom of the earth, do this show, fly up to the, you know, like the Mediterranean and do another show against the best guys in the league, you know? So like, I mean, what else can you really want? I mean, it's nice to win everything like Reno did. He's unbelievable. But for me versus me, I'm super happy with my entire, like, I feel like I had a pretty good season and I've gotten a lot stronger this year, a lot smarter. And then coming into next season, Champions League, I learned so much just from just the unorthodox events, the timing, you know, like everything that goes along with competing in that Fed versus what I was used to in the States as an amateur. I just learned so much. Like in the US, we don't do all these bizarre events really. And like, I appreciate the weird events. It's fun. It's fun for the crowd. It shakes things up. It keeps us, you know, I don't know. I think it's fun. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, super happy with it. I feel like I gained a ton of experience, like I just mentioned, and I'm going to come into next season. If I can just really nail this off season and come in prepared, I feel like next year we'll be on the podium. We'll you know, consistently and win a stage, right? Because a lot of the stuff that happened this year was just experience, you know, and like people are like, oh, if you had a coach, like you should get a coach. Like if you had a coach, because a lot of my problems were strategic or just form with like an event I've never done before. So like if I had a coach and I was like, oh, I've never done this weird event before, and they have, and they would be able to tell me what to do, fine. Like that's all true. The only reason I don't get a coach and I'm going to keep self-coaching is because I am less hurt now, knock on wood, than when I started the sport. You know, so like usually people get beat up from strongman. I came in super injured from like fight sports and BMX, like just all kinds of problems, you know, and I feel better now than ever after doing strongman as hard as I can. So I think I know my body, and I'm getting better and better. Like it's not like I'm stalling out, like I'm getting better. I'm having better results. My strength has increased across every lift, and I'm competing at the world level all on my own, and I'm not hurt, knock on wood. Like I get little things here and there. Like right now, my forearms are a little hurt from Africa, like I mentioned, but they're not like surgery worthy, knock on wood, injuries. And I can feel like I can only attribute that to myself. Like I know what my limits are. I know how hard I can push for whatever reason. And I know what assistance work I need to stay healthy. And like, that's it. Like if it's strategic issues or form issues on a weird event that held me back here and there this year, fine, because I didn't have anything to get reattached, you know, everything's still connected and I'm stronger than I was. And that's it. Like I got that first season out of the way and I'm ready next year. Like we get some weird stuff like lifts in the sand and whatever else, like all these different truck pull variations, just everything that we don't typically do in the US. So I had no exposure to prior to coming over to Europe and wherever else to compete. I've done now. And I know what to expect when it comes to the whole thing. Like everything about traveling, food, dealing with your sleep, dealing with all these different crazy variables that come up competing internationally, I have a good handle on that now. And that's it. I feel like I'm excited. I'm excited to start this off season. I'm excited to come back better next year and see what I can do. I want to get some podiums. I want to get back to the finals, It's because, like I said, a lot of this stuff, it wasn't strength issues. It was just strategic or form issues on the things I've never done. Right? So now that I've done them, like, what's left? I just get stronger, and now I know what to do. So we'll see what happens 2025. Try to stay healthy and keep this momentum. Now I'm going to get back to my regular vlog format where I'm posting my training. You're going to see, because I don't think I'm going to compete again until like February. I know I'm on the roster for OSG, but I got to talk to Lynn. I'm just like, it stinks because, like, as much as I want to do that show, it just doesn't seem like the right move for me because I'm not going to be bringing my best, and I feel like OSG, when you're at a level that you could make the finals or podium, like, you need to come correct and do that, like, if I don't want to go all the way there and have a bad showing just because I'm just kind of thrashed from like a full year of competition, and I want to bring the right package when I go there. So I got to talk to him. Unfortunately, I'm going to have some FOMO, some fear of missing out, but I got to do the right thing and, think long term. Like, if I just go to OSG kind of dinged up, not feeling good, my forearms are feeling a little weird and I can't prep properly for it. Like, what can I really do at this point? Like, hit the events once, twice, like, I can't prep at this point. If I didn't do Turkey, I probably would have done it. But like doing Africa right into Turkey and then trying to do OSG, it just doesn't make sense. So it just wouldn't work, basically. I'd be bringing like 80% of myself if I was lucky. And these guys, I know these guys that are signed up for that, they're going to be ready. So, props to them. I hope it goes well. Wish I could be there, my full self, but it is what it is. So I'm going to try to nail this off season, come in healthy, ready to go. 2025 Champions League, get some podiums. All right. And remember, Silverback, my athlete page is coming soon. I'll put it on my Instagram, and then you can buy some stuff at a discount. And I'm gonna stop this video before I just start rambling on and on and on. See you this week. I'm gonna post some training.